slate. A slow start this week in NBA for me. Not a good night last night. I had some of the right ideas that I just couldn't quite pull the trigger on. And also you can't obviously predict when you get one overtime game in a 4-game slate, it's always tough when you don't have the right exposure and Jason Tatum shoots 20% from the floor. When you do have exposure. So, it happens. We're moving on. We've got a nice big slate here, lots of decisions to make. There's going to be some questionables. There's going to be stuff we find out later today. This is the first look, but I think that there's some games that I'm already excited to go after, and we're going to get up to those right off the bat, so we don't have to worry about a lot of late stuff for those ones at least.
It was good to see, by the way, that the coach speak has been much more reliable than saying, listen, we're not going to play crazy minutes for John Morant. He only played 36 and trending towards he was going to play 5 more in overtime, by the way. If he did not make that floater. So at least we know that we can count on coach speak.
Yeah, it was nice to see Ja back, by the way. And
he was awesome. He was awesome.
He was great. Anyway, man, let's get into it. We'll go game by game, and we're gonna have an interesting one right off the bat here. With a near record total, but not quite as big as the one as Milwaukee last week. 248 is the total here. So, what are your thoughts on this Charlotte Indiana game?
Well, you say it's a good total, but why do I not like anything? Okay, so the one bit of news that I think was floating around were these centers, right? So, Miles Turner is questionable, not to mention that Jalen Smith, okay, so he hasn't played in a while, but he was practicing. So he is questionable. So obviously if Miles Turner is out, then you could, you could deal with either, I guess, Isaiah Jackson or Jalen Smith. But aside from that, is this bad? I'm really not getting much of any of this. I guess Terry Rozier, this would be a nice game for him to play in at 8,900 against the Globetrotters. And Gordon Hayward, I suppose. Am I getting Nick Richards again? No, not really. I don't know. For a 250 total, listen, welcome to the land of tight pricing on DraftKings on a day with no value. So no value now. I mean, obviously stuff will happen. But right now, I just not getting too much in this game.
Yeah, it's this is the weird thing. Like, if Jalen Smith and Miles Turner are out, the most popular player on the slate currently has a projection of 0 fantasy points. Not projected to play 1 minute right now for Isaiah Jackson. So we need to know about Miles Turner and Jalen Smith, obviously, before we really figure out what we're going to do in this game, because that does open up quite a bit if those guys are out again. I do think Jalen Smith probably comes back, and he's probably a pretty good play, by the way. On the Charlotte side, I love Rozier. Why not just go to look? You need Rozier to keep the game close. The problem is you've got Hayward coming back and Bridges coming back, but I still like Rozier even at 8,900. He's just been great. It's the best matchup in history of basketball, basically. And I think you have to just you have to overrank these guys a little bit. So I have Rozier rated really, really high. I like the idea of it's going to be weird with everybody coming back because PJ Washington, who smashed the other night, is going to look like a kind of like a lame play, but I'm okay with going back to PJ Washington in this matchup or Nick Richards. I think both of them are on my list right now. And I think that, the fringe pieces, Brandon Miller probably being my favorite of those is kind of interesting on the Charlotte side. So I'm definitely open to going after this one a little bit. And Tyrese on the other side, I know we haven't seen it in a little bit. This is the kind of game where I think that it could be, we could see it again. So I like Tyrese a little bit, and I really like both Bruce Brown and Buddy Hield, because they're pricing. If you're going to get frisky, I think Mathurin would be the other guy. But with Jalen Smith back, he's probably the most simple answer. And assuming that he gets his 20 minutes or whatever, that at least is some sort of value at 4K. He's projected right now on SaberSim for 22 fantasy points. That seems like a little bit aggressive to me, and they've got him projected at 18 minutes at 22 fantasy points because he's a very good fantasy point per minute player. That seems a little exaggerated. That probably goes down later today. But Jalen Smith, Brown or Hield, and then Halliburton. And I think you could just sort of close your eyes and play this stack a little bit, because it's such a good situation for everybody. And include guys like Obi Toppin if you want to, although that with Jalen Smith coming back, he's less appealing. But really, I just think this whole game is just a game that I want to be overweight on because they're not going to project well enough at these prices, and it's going to keep the ownership down. But it's the best game environment you could ever ask for.
It's so interesting with this new pricing that you really have to run these optimals and run these sims to like figure out why how some of these guys are going to be high owned. So like for example, like on their face, none of these guys look that great. And I do this every single day. And as I run these sims and I run these builds, I'm getting Bruce Brown and Buddy Hield as two of the top owned guys, two of the top 3 owned guys in my entire set. And I guess that's just the way it is. These 5K guys that are just going to look okay until value opens up are just going to show up as smash plays. And it's not that they're smash plays; they're just necessary pieces of your lineups, that make other stuff work, I suppose. So,
they're cheap pieces, but they can also get 40.
Yeah. So Bruce Brown, Buddy Hield. Now, is this a situation where you wouldn't want to play them together?
No, I think it's okay to play them together. Great at game environment, but I mean, look, it's a huge slate. So maybe the optimal way to do it is to probably pick one. I prefer Hield just because he can, shoot his way in there, and Bruce Brown can be quiet at times. Although then again, the other games where Bruce Brown is sort of all over the place, so they're pretty close for me. But I definitely think you can play them together. I mean, maybe it's suboptimal in some ways, but in this matchup, I actually don't think it is. And I think they're cheap enough where I'm definitely going to probably be pulling some triggers there.
Yeah. So like you said, I guess right off the bat, I guess this is where you should probably start, I suppose.
Yeah, that was my first heavy interest, or my most heavy interest of a game that I knew wouldn't project well because of the pricing, but it's really just the pricing. The plays are very, very good. Minnesota, Philadelphia. What you got here, Sheets?
So this is like, well, first of all, just feels like an under in general. Two of the top 5 defenses going against one another. Both teams very healthy, I think. I mean, I see some Covington questionables if that matters. Batum out. Marcus Morris. I don't think maybe that's going to matter too much. And I think this is probably like the opposite, of the analysis from before. I think Embiid's going to look like a good play, but then when it comes down to actually building, you're not going to be able to get to him. So that's what I'm looking at right now. Again, I'm looking at I'm actually did 2 different sets of I'm doing 2 sets of sims, and I'm not getting really Embiid much of anything, and certainly nothing else in this whole game really.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue. Like, look, if you can get to Embiid, the guy has scored 64 or more fantasy points in like 15 straight games. I think he's really, honestly, I think he's starting to become like just because he won it last year and people say the playoff stuff. Other than that, I think that he would be the MVP. In a lot of ways, he should be one of the favorites, if not the favorite again. I like Embiid if I can get there. I like Maxey a little bit if I can get there. The one that's interesting to me today is that they may need Anthony Edwards to score a little bit more than usual. And I'm just sort of like a little bit open to it. But the best play for me actually is probably, it's a very weird one, but with those guys out and with other questionables, I think we might see more Kelly Oubre tonight. So I think Kelly Oubre is another one of those guys in the 55. Kelly Oubre and D'Anthony Melton are 2 of those guys who are down in that same range as those guys from the Brown and Hield from Indy. And I think these guys are very interesting counter plays. And look, you want some value, and these are they offer some value. If Covington and Morris are out, they will offer more value. But I like the idea of maybe getting to a little bit of that. And it's a tough matchup, so I don't want to get overly carried away with this game. But I think that Towns and Edwards are just interesting enough to where I'll at least consider them for what it's worth.
No, he's not getting suspended or anything. Is he this Anthony Edwards? I don't know the details. Is something going on with him or no?
I don't know. I don't think that anything. I don't know. I honestly don't know which
something up, some text he sent or something that were controversial.
Oh, I heard something, but I honestly don't even know what it is. I just sort of sloughed it off, I guess.
Okay.
All right. But we'll see. We should know about that one in the first game. All right. Miami, Orlando.
Yeah. So this is another one where I kind of I was imagining this guy would project a little bit better, but currently he isn't. But you're getting the return of Wendell Carter Jr. And he's only 5,400. I guess if he's like ready to go, I mean, I don't know why he wouldn't be. And if he's starting and all that stuff, I mean, $5,400 Wendell Carter Jr. doesn't seem like that big, that much of a problem. As far as the projections go, he's not showing up almost at all. So I don't know what to say about that. The Miami side, you would think that with Butler out, you'd want to play some of these guys, but we talked about this the other day. What DraftKings do with their pricing. They're really like saying, okay, you guys, you're going to yell at us for mispricing these guys. Okay, let's see what we're going to. Now we know Butler's out. Like now all these guys are unplayable anyway.
Right.
You're making Jaquez 7,100. And what's Hero? 8,800.
Yeah.
Bam is like 9,500. So it's weird that you can't play anybody in Miami with Butler out. But certainly looks that way. But then again, it looks like Kevin Love is out also.
Mm-hmm.
It may be the Caleb Martin 7,300. What a country! I don't know. Tell me about Wendell Carter Jr. Am I missing something? Tell me if I should be playing anybody from Miami. What do you like here?
Yeah, it's interesting to see. They've been absolutely, for the most part, other than a few big losses, that completely on fire since Wendell Carter Jr. has been out. So I am probably, assuming that he does start and they don't pull any funny business, I will probably play Wendell Carter in a few lineups, and I will probably expect 24 to 26 minutes. I don't think that you're gonna get. I mean, I think there's upside on that, but I don't think you should be planning on that. And that's going to make his projection look even a little bit worse because he's projected for about 27. I don't have a whole lot from this game. It's weird because you'd like to do something with Miami with no Butler. I don't know what that thing is. Bam, like you said, the pricing is just so high and it's like the worst matchup. I really tried to dig and I couldn't find anything for Miami, even without Butler, which is kind of crazy. I mean, but 8,800 Hero, look, and he can shoot it. Like, I don't know. I can't quite pull the trigger. And I do like the Carter and Suggs are probably my favorite pieces. I don't think I would get to Paolo and Franz, but maybe I can reconsider that one a little bit later today because they are in that weird mid-tier pricing range that I just don't think they're going to get played at all. So as of right now, though, not really interested. All right, Utah, Cleveland.
Yeah, Utah and Cleveland. We have kind of sort of revenge, I guess.
Yeah.
I get Donovan Mitchell against Utah. And
I thought you meant for Lauri Markkanen.
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
But Donovan Mitchell is questionable as well. Interesting. He is a late addition to the injury report due to an illness and did not participate in shoot around. None of that looks good. How is he not going to play? All right, that's that analysis. I don't know. 10K? Boy, oh boy, it's rough. It's rough.
Yep.
Utah against he was on Cleveland. I didn't even know that, Mark.
Yeah, that's what he was traded for. Donovan Mitchell was traded for Lauri Markkanen, Colin Sexton, and
I'm pretty sure that Markkanen was on Chicago.
No, he was, and then he was on Cleveland.
Oh, okay.
Donovan Mitchell was traded for Markkanen, for Markkanen, Sexton, and 4 future firsts and 2 pick swaps. So basically, like one of the biggest trades ever. And I think that they would just rather have Lauri Markkanen right now. Anyway, yeah, so you got Sexton revenge on top of it too. By the way, this is the revenge game, I guess. Look, I don't mind buying a little bit into the revenge stuff. So the idea of Sexton or Markkanen, I'm totally good with today because I don't have a whole lot that I love in these earlier games, other than the other game, which is also tough. If Mitchell plays, I think that you're just playing. I really think that you should be playing Mitchell. It's not just the revenge factor. It's more actually. I don't know what he has to be revengeful for. Like they traded the world for him, and they I don't know. He still is that kind of a guy, and there's no Darius Garland, and Utah doesn't play defense, and that could also mean the game stays close. There's also no Evan Mobley. There's also, obviously no Rubio. I just think that Mitchell is going to get all the usage he can handle, and I really like him. And I like Jared Allen a little bit, and I like, Levert and Struss a little bit. So I'm open to this. If Donovan Mitchell is out, I think we just load up Craig Porter Jr., even though he probably won't end up starting. But we'll get word on that, and I imagine that he plays based on the Vegas line right now. They only have a -5, but they are missing Garland and what's his name, Garland and Mobley. So maybe I don't know. That it puts me in a sort of a weird zone. I don't know what to do with that. They usually would be favored by 10 here, but that would be with the fully healthy team. So yeah, I think there's some things you could do, especially on the Cleveland side, and the running back with either Markkanen or Sexton. And I think that's not too bad. All right, Denver, Toronto. I'll sum up my plays at the end because there's a lot of stuff that I've got just sort of like meh on that I've been talking about, but I'm sort of fine tuning it as we go.
Yeah. So Denver, Toronto. Once again, we have Jokic, who projects to be a good play, but you just can't really get to him right now. Same as usual. And then as every single slate, it seems, Dennis Schroeder is projecting to be just kind of okay, and yet in almost every lineup. It depends, but like in one set of sims I'm running, I'm getting 86% Dennis Schroeder, despite the fact that he's not even projecting all that great. Another set, I'm getting like 40% of him. Just the way pricing works nowadays. You have a decent looking 5K to 6K guy, they're just gonna show up. The Jamal Murray, I thought, I'm getting some percent of him, maybe 20% of Jamal Murray, and that's pretty much all I'm getting from this game.
Yeah, both. I mean, look, Jokic has really been not the same. I actually think you just got to prioritize Embiid over Jokic as long as Murray's in there. We have not seen, Jokic has been – I don't know what's happening, but something – his eye test, too, doesn't quite look the same as much as he doesn't look quite the dominant guy that he used to be, and it's sort of reflecting in his numbers a little bit. The team is still great. They've got a lot of weapons. That's part of the reason. But I do think that we've got to, start thinking of Embiid – when Murray's playing as a little bit of a better play than Jokic on most nights, even though it's a tough matchup technically. I think it's actually a great matchup for Embiid tonight, going against he loves that kind of stuff. So anyway, I have Embiid ahead of Jokic. I like Murray a little bit. I like Porter always as a get weird play, but I'm not going to use it on a 10-gamer. And then on the other side, Schroeder is the one who looks the most logical. I'll just go ahead and say that you've got OG Anunoby with more position eligibility and the same price, basically, and they score roughly similar fantasy points, and OG might even have a higher ceiling, and he's going to be, almost unowned. I also think it's interesting to see what they do tonight with Podol, Boucher kind of a thing. I'm sorry, Podol, Precious, and Boucher. They don't want Boucher guarding Jokic. Precious, though, it's just one of those things. Naturally, you'd think Podol matches up better, so maybe he gets more minutes tonight. But in reality, sometimes these the quicker, younger defenders or whatever, these guys are actually do a better job on Jokic. So just throwing that out there. I do think one of Podol or Precious probably gets there. But I think everybody on the Toronto side, looks okay. Nobody looks great to me, and everybody looks okay. OG or Schroeder is what I wrote down as my priorities here. But I don't mind if you want to get to anybody else. Barnes would be my favorite. And that's pretty much it. I guess Podol, I got to look a little deeper into his and Jokic's past matchups. All right. Are we getting to anything better yet?
I don't know.
No, I'm just kidding. Actually, this is not a bad spot. So you want to start off with your Knicks in Brooklyn? I'm sorry, your Knicks in Brooklyn.
Yeah. I mean, not really getting into too much from here. It should be a good, this is always kind of a fun game. But no, actually, you know what? Julius Randle is showing up as a good play. And again, on these types of slates, these 8K guys are usually going to show up as good plays. That's why Kawhi's in play every day, and we'll get to DeRozan and stuff like that. But yeah, sure. Randall looks pretty good at 8,700. Brunson 86 maybe. When it comes to actually what I'm getting when I'm running these sims, you know who I'm getting? I'm getting freaking Quickly. I'm getting like 28% Quickly right now. And again, I'm just guessing these 5K. That's my only.
Yeah, 5,200. Yeah.
The other bit of interesting news here is that Jericho Sims is questionable. So what you'll probably end up getting if that happens is Taj Gibson starting at 3K. If Jericho Sims is out.
Yep. And
if in fact Taj Gibson becomes popular, it's like a really easy fade, I think. Because he's gonna we've seen this before with Tibbs. He'll play Gibson 12 minutes. If he feels like it. Even though he starts it. So that's something to keep an eye on. That's what I think.
Yeah.
But Quickly is showing up for me, and that's pretty much all I'm getting here.
Yeah. I would encourage people, don't get I like Hartenstein all the time, but don't get overly carried away by the last game because they lost Sims in that game. So if Sims does play, I don't think Sims is going to play 3 minutes again. But I mean, I still don't think Hartenstein is off the table, right? He's
not at all.
He's in there for some things. I like the Knicks side of this quite a bit. I had one really, really big win. I won the six figures, and I think I finished second in the lottery the same night or something like that. But it was a stack of this game back in the day. But Julius Randle seems to play really well in these matchups. I'll double check my eye test results and I'll look back at it. Randall and Brunson, I think, are both interesting. New York plays pretty fast, and I think these guys are both in play. I like Randall a little bit better right now, which is pretty rare. I almost always like Brunson better. And Josh Hart, I think you make a as of right now, Josh Hart, DiVincenzo, Quickly, and even Grimes because he's 3,700. I think that you can consider all of those guys. I think Hart would be my favorite, and then I think you could also consider Hartenstein. So I think there's some stuff you could do in this game. On the other side, it's really hard every night with the Brooklyn team because you never know if it's the Cam Thomas night or Dinwiddie at 7,700 never feels like a good thing. Nick Claxton is probably a really good play at 6,200. At the moment, that's something I would definitely be considering as a borderline priority play. I like him in this matchup. I like the price point. And I think that Bridges is probably my favorite run back, but I'm definitely open to the other guys. I just think Bridges is probably going to be the one who makes it. Is there a chance we maybe should be taking a shot on Royce O'Neal or Dorian Finney-Smith again? It's hard to know which one, but I don't know. I just want to throw the question out there because I do think that I'm looking for these 4K prices and they aren't there, but it's probably a little too thin for me to make on this slate. For what it's worth, though, Brooklyn does have – it's not like major bodies, but obviously Ben Simmons has been out, and so is Walker and DSJ. But they're only playing they only are playing 10 guys. I don't know. I'm trying to find reasons to like anything. I think it's Claxton and Bridges and Randall, either Hart, Quickly, Grimes, or what was the other one I'm missing? Hart, Quickly, Grimes, or DiVincenzo. But you can tell, just by the fact that you're deciding between all of them, probably means that that none of them are going to look great, and two of them probably get there in reasonable fashion. Hart being my favorite, and my second favorite is Quickly.
All right, Lakers, Chicago. On the Lakers side, I'm not getting anything unless one of those two guys are out. So on the Chicago side, I don't know if we mentioned DeRozan already when we talk about other stuff, but DeRozan's going to look decent. One of those 8K plays. Vooch will look decent. But here's a question I have for you, given what we talked about with pricing. Who is going to be a better player? And I hate to jump ahead, okay? But first of all, I want to go back to the Cleveland game for a second because I forgot to mention that Isaac Okoro at 5,100. Again, just because he's at this position and 5,100, he's just showing up. So here's a question: who's better, Isaac Okoro, 5,100, small forward eligible? Because all these guys are going to show up. Alex Caruso, 5,100 shooting guard, small forward eligible, or we'll get to Dallas with Derrick Jones Jr. 5,000 small forward eligible. This seems to be kind of the sweet spot of the lineup construction. Is that position, because we'll be able to find guards and centers, right? And 5K seems to be that price that you need to kind of go after. So, what do you think of Caruso? With it, I hate to put it this way, but of those three guys, do you like Okoro? Even though I know we already went through that game, and do you like anything else aside from what I said from Pet Chicago?
So I don't like any of those guys, but it's because you can't do anything. So yes, I think I would lean Caruso a little bit over those guys, I guess.
Not to mention the aforementioned Bruce Brown, right? At 5,600.
I way prefer Bruce Brown. I think that's an astronomical difference for me. Okay. At least he can get active and involved and do things. These other guys literally just don't. Okoro's a good defensive player, so I don't mean to take anything away from him, but. Look, the best I have in this game from the Lakers side is, I guess, look, you're reaching for things, but LeBron in MJ's house, there's something to it. I do believe LeBron is having that kind of a season, and he's having, he's playing well in the motivation and all this stuff, and these big games, he keeps coming through in those situations. I don't know. I think LeBron is mildly interesting. I can't get to anything else on the Lakers as of right now unless they change something, which I don't think they will. Caruso makes some sense, but what about DeRozan and Vooch? They both make a lot of sense to me, especially DeRozan. And I think Kobe White has to be considered a little bit, but DeRozan is the one I like the best. So I'm going to go ahead and say DeRozan, and just because the pricing, some Alex Caruso is fine with me, but man, it doesn't feel good. I do think DeRozan is a strong play. DeRozan or Vooch or White. I keep saying it all the time, and it just seems like every night one of those guys is going to smash. You have DeRozan. If it game was in LA, I would be all DeRozan because I believe in that guy's narratives. But the problem is a lot of the players that we've talked about that I like today, almost all of them are on like the trade block, and DeRozan may end up a Laker before you know it. I don't know. So I guess it's DeRozan. That's simple. Is DeRozan, then Vooch, then White for me. But I have no issue if you wanted to flip that order. White, for what it's worth, has been over 39 fantasy points every game without Levine. He's put up. Just look at his game log. He's literally just crushing, and he's shooting the ball really well. But he's creating. The assists are up. His usage isn't like that crazy high, but it's he's doing a lot out there. And I'm gonna. Look, if we're going to talk about this weird, the what's it called, the Caruso thing. The only thing that's weird is I don't even have Caruso's. They're bringing him back off the bench again. I'm not going to play Desonmu, but if Caruso was out early in the day before he was probable, I was going to definitely consider it. Just because again, that price range is just weird. And I'm usually the guy who would rather play Desonmu with his risk of 0 or 45 than the 15 to 20 of Caruso. Okay, moving on. Atlanta and Houston. No, what do you have next?
Yeah, Atlanta and Houston, and boy, what a surprise! Dylan Brooks, small forward, 5,400. Add him to the mix. Terry Eason, 6,100, small forward, add him to the mix. What's his name? Jabari Smith Jr., 6,100. These are all guys that fit into this build category. I'm not getting to pretty much any of the spend ups. I'm not getting to Sengun today. I'm not getting to a priced up Capella today at 7,100. It's just going to be a battle of the 5Ks, at least that's the way it seems for me. So again, Eason, Brooks, Jabari Smith would be, I guess, my favorites.
Yeah, the problem is that so I guess Eason's taking minutes from Sengun, he's taking minutes from Jabari. He's the player who's probably trended the best. Look, this guy went from 3,900, slowly worked his way up to 6,100, hadn't played more than 24 minutes in forever, and now is just he played 33 in the last game. I'm in on Tari Eason. I think that and the problem is though, it could, if Jabari starts the game off well, they're going to be going somewhere else to get Eason minutes. If Jabari's hot or something like that. So I like Eason number 1. I like Jabari number 2. Obviously Şengün, Jalen Green, Van Vliet. It's a great matchup. So it kind of would be interesting to get to those guys. They're just expensive. Yeah, I don't really know how else to put it. Brooks is definitely the least interesting to me. I think he took his career high shots the other night back in Memphis. What a shocker! Or no, not his career high. I'm sorry, his Houston high, or at least right near his Houston high of stuff. You should have Deshaun Tate and Amen Thompson questionable. If those guys are in, I probably am going to be lower on Eason. But if they're both out again, I'll go right back to it. I can't get to anything right now on the Atlanta side. If Bogdanovich is out again, I'll tell you, the only way that I would do it is probably if they'd start a Congo again, that I would play him alongside. Like I can't get to anything right now. I'll reconsider if Bogdanovich is out. But right now you've got, what is it? Only 8 players with a projection on Atlanta. I mean, dude, if they're going to play 8 guys, if that's real, we kind of have to do something, especially when one of those guys is questionable.
Yeah.
I just don't know what it is like at these prices. So I'm gonna put the Hawks as a big question mark because I don't know what to do with them, and I'd like to know about Bogdanovich a little better before I make any decisions. God, this is a freaking hard slate, man.
Yes, it is, and we're hoping that stuff opens up, I suppose.
Yeah. And they priced all the Clippers through the roof. No, they only priced Harden through the roof now. Okay, what do you got in the Clippers in Dallas?
Yeah, so what do we think? I guess we have Derek Jones Jr. at 5K. I imagine, right? I mentioned him before. Also showing up is Dwight Powell at 4,400. But we all know who's going to score 40.
Who's that?
Rashard Holmes. I mean,
oh my God.
I mean, for real. I mean, like, how does he not? I'm definitely not playing him, but we know that's what's going to happen. On the other side of this, we have, and maybe there's some no ball reason that you can tell me why maybe he'll play more in this game. Maybe. Anyway, Clippers. Paul George is questionable. We have to watch for that. And Harden, 8,800. I think I prefer Kawhi for some reason. I can't really identify why that is.
He's a better player.
I guess so, right? But I guess again, it's about those 6K, 5K guys. So Dwight Powell, Derek Jones Jr. would be my plays in this game.
Yeah, interesting. I have Grant Williams as the best play.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
I think he's a better play than Jones, and I don't think the ownership's going to be that different. They're both can be maddening to roster because there's no guaranteed fantasy points coming along with these guys. I think they're really close between those two, to be honest, and neither am I excited about. Don't look at the game log because they got smoked the other night and they tried to shuffle a bunch of things around. I do think that there is an argument for Rashad Holmes here.
Yeah, why not?
Like, why? Like, it's so speculative. And part of the speculation the other day was that he'd play because Jokic was playing, so it was for size. Maybe he just ends up getting in there because it's hard though because they're going to play Markieff Morris. Shit. All right, so on the Clippers side, I actually do like a lot here. I really like Kawhi. I love Zubac. I was really ticked off at myself the other night for making the Zubac call and then not pulling the trigger. I'm pretty sure I'm going to play some Zubac tonight. The Clippers have not leaned into the going small thing at all, which I actually think is really impressive. And I think that, the Clippers have been unbelievably good lately. And Zubac, the only reason he played only 26 minutes because they won by 38. He put up 50. Game before that against the Knicks, he had 37. That's not a fun matchup to score 37 in. The games where he gets played out of there is when they go a little smaller, like Golden State and Sacramento. And other than that, though, like 6,500 is reasonable. It's not exciting, but it's something different. And honestly, we've gone through all this stuff though, and the guys who are chalky, not one of them do I think I feel good about. But that's just what you have to do in, I guess, 2023 for DraftKings. Maybe that's something DraftKings could do to offset this late swap and it takes up our whole night nonsense. Maybe they could start making these guys more reasonable. But at the same time, we did ask for this. Our whole DFS community is the reason this happened, or part of the reason this happened. The feedback, they took it and they made it really, really tough. Obviously, it's going to be hard to get to Luka. I think Luka is the best spend up on the slate by a substantial margin. I would have him way ahead of the other guys. It's just going to be hard to get to him. Luka ahead of Embiid for me. And Derek Jones, Luka, and Kawhi make for a nice stack, but where are you going to get the value to play that? And, Dwight Powell is never fun, but maybe we have to adjust the way we look at Dwight Powell, because we always knew he was a guy who wasn't going to score. Like he was like not going to get more than 20 fantasy points. But to be honest with you, today I'd take 20 fantasy points at 4,400. Right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. You can get it.
Yeah. Anyway, so
I mean, listen, I just don't think I can get to Luka today. That's the best I can describe it.
As of right now, I agree with you.
As of right now.
But we will see. We will see. Okay. Boston.
Yeah, I think somebody's going to sit in this game.
Yeah, so definitely Horford's going to sit, is my guess. I mean, that's what they've been doing this year. They'd sit one and play the other.
I presume Porzingis is playing.
Porzingis, I would assume, is playing too. It was really just the front, right, resting the front end of the back-to-back. Tatum.
They kind of would want to win this game now, though.
Yeah, Boston would like to lose 2 in a row. And all of these guys are. I mean, what a game environment. They made Jaylen Brown 8,800 because of the worry about. They made Derek White almost 8K. Oh boy,
I'm probably not playing any of them, honestly.
I'm probably playing Porzingis.
Yeah,
that's the one that makes the most sense.
And back in the old days, I would just pound Sacramento in this game, but I think the spreads have caught up to that kind of stuff.
Why would you pound Sacramento? Because they played an overtime the night before?
Yeah.
Even though they lost the overtime and they've been the best team in the NBA?
Yeah, it was a big emotional game. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be tough for them to get up to this game. But yeah, like you said, I mean, now they really want to win. So I don't know. I'm not doing it, but like back in the day,
I'll just make a rule to myself. I mean, look, I am assuming that I think that Vegas is assuming someone else might even sit, because I don't think Boston, even on a back-to-back, maybe it is the back-to-back.
No, back-to-back on an overtime is worth 20 points. You know what I mean?
I'm not sure if I'm right on this, but this might be the first time they've been an underdog this year. And I like Sacramento all well and good, but I mean, look, if you tell me that's going to be the thing, I'll bet Boston money line all day, every single day, a million times over. I just think that it's too good, unless there's like something else I'm missing here. At least they left Drew Holiday. His price the same, even though he never gets there. Did you like anything on Sacramento?
I didn't like anything at all in this game. I mean, I'll just start with my kind of current exposures again. Again, this is why I think it's important to run these things and figure out why these guys are being as owned as they're projecting. Okay, it's just because the way lineup construction is going to work. That's just where you're going to go. Now, with that said, it's also a reason why when value might open up, while I mean these guys that might be 30% owned now could be 8. You know, it just depends on what happens here. Who knows how many guys sit from Boston? I imagine they're going to play, like you said. I mean, they don't want to lose 2 in a row and all that stuff.
Well, they did make Tatum questionable for what it's worth, and he looked terrible last night. Like he didn't look right. I was watching the game at my family's,
but these are the guys for me right now that are showing up in the most lineups, like Derek Jones Jr., Bruce Brown, Buddy Hield, Alex Caruso, Dennis Schroeder, Grant Williams. I do have Grant Williams more than I thought. Dylan Brooks, Emmanuel Quickly, Jalen Green. I forgot to mention him from that Houston game, but basically all guys that are not centers, all guys that are not guards or point guards, all of them between like 5K and 6,600. These are the guys that are just showing up the most. But like low-owned guys that I also have that are showing up. But I don't know if we talked about him, but Jakob Poeltl. I'm showing him as maybe only being 7% owned, and I'm getting 22% of him right now.
I like that play sheets. I think it's a good one.
Yes, that's not bad. And you mentioned Vooch. I think that's a good play too.
Yeah, and it's a tough slate. The guys who I've got, look, it's hard. It's a big list. Well, it's actually not even that big of a list. I just Rozier, one of the Smith or Turner or Jack, like whatever happens there, I think Turner's in play, and I think that Jalen Smith is the guy you're for value. Brown or Heald or both. I think that's very reasonable. I like Halliburton, but he's just didn't quite make my thing. I have Miami with a big question mark because I feel like I'm supposed to do something there. Wendell Carter or Suggs, just again, these 5K guys, I got to mention all of them. I like OG a little bit better than Schroeder, but I'm good with Schroeder. And then I like the Podol idea that you had. Julius Randle, I like. One of the fringy pieces for the Knicks, whether it be Hartenstein, Quickly, Grimes. I know that's really fringy, but we don't have that many guys at 30-something hundred. DiVincenzo. Those I think I'll probably end up playing Quickly or Hart. And then on the other side, I like Claxton in that game. I think all of Atlanta is up in the air for me. Tari Eason or Jabari Smith is the guys I have from Houston. I have one of DeRozan, Vooch, or White, Williams or Derek Jones Jr. I think you can play them together for what it's worth, but just throwing that out there. Kawhi, I like Zubac probably more than most people, and I am going to be way overweight Boston on speculation if we don't have word, because I think if Tatum is out, I'll pay 8,800 for Jaylen Brown, or I'll pay 78 for White. I'll pay for Holiday. What if Peyton Pritchard ends up starting? You know what I mean? At 4,800, which is not even that great, but something. But the main one for me is Porzingis. I really think look, you're the only one who didn't play the overtime last night, right?
Yeah.
You're going to get your work, and this is a matchup that both gives it up inside and gives it up to outside shooters. So that sounds pretty good to me tonight. I'm really in on that.
Me too.
Yeah. Project Mayhem asking about if he said he's asking if we're playing the 888. He's got a couple of tickets, but he's waiting till he gets a few more. I'm playing 3 lineups in the 888 tonight. I'm going to go for it a little bit. I did sell off a good portion of that already. I posted it at a very cheap price because I've been struggling. Well, actually, I haven't been struggling in basketball, but it's been I haven't had a big week in a while. So selling it at a very cheap price right now, and I am going to play 3 of those lineups because I think that there is going to be edge to gain. I'm going to grind this one out. I'm going to be in all night. That's my plan. So
I'm playing one tonight,
and Sheets will be in there as well. So when Sheets and I inevitably both end up with the Sunmu and be the only guys in the tournament who play them, we'll see how it goes.
That would be fun.
It would be a lot of fun. All right, guys. Well, good luck to everybody. We'll see you live at 6. That you're going to be able to make it, Sheets?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, and good luck. And we are going to do a football preview. I don't even know which slate we're doing, but there's so many.
We'll do the main.
The main. This sounds good to me.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Good luck to you, and we'll see you at the top of the leaderboards.